Chapter 81 Hot Item. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Recite the Situ website silently 3 times. Do you remember it? If you don't remember, I'll ask again in the next chapter. It's best to share it on Facebook for me. Seeing this scene, the expressions of the villagers present became very complicated. They were the parents of Zhao Xinyu and others, and none of them knew how to express their gratitude. They all knew what happened between Zhao Xinyu and Zhao Xinyu. They blackmailed Zhao Xinyu, a foreigner, by digging trenches, blocking doors, and splashing paint on them. They did everything they could think of. In order to retaliate, they even poisoned Han Li and Han Li. All the cattle and sheep of Lu Ming and his family were poisoned. Now Zhao Xinyu did not watch the excitement, but saved their child. Although whether their child could really survive, everyone present admired his magnanimity. Han Li, go back and talk to Brother Jiang. Let's first spend 100,000 to pay for their medical expenses. If it's not enough, we'll talk later. A few minutes later, after seeing Zhao Xinyu's breathing become steady, Zhao Xinyu put away the golden needle. Looked at Han Li and said, as soon as he said this, everyone was stunned. Many people looked at Zhao Xinyu with wide eyes. Zhao Xinyu sighed and looked at the surrounding villagers. Delete all the videos just now. I just want to be quiet. Everyone understands what I mean. After saying this, Zhao Xinyu squeezed out of the crowd and left. Less than a few minutes after Zhao Xinyu left, the 120 ambulance returned to the ravine again. When the emergency doctor saw that Zhao Xinyu and the 7 of them were breathing spontaneously, and their breathing was very stable, this made him and those who followed him, the nurses, felt incredible. They also asked Zhao Xinyu, his family members and villagers, but they all looked at him with complicated expressions, which made his face full of embarrassment. In his imagination, this should be a mistake in his diagnosis just now, but looking back, I can say that I made one misdiagnosis, but 7 of them were misdiagnosed at the same time. Who would believe it? But no matter what, all 7 people survived. While treating Zhao Xinyu and others, they contacted the hospital and took Zhao Xinyu and others to the hospital for treatment. Then the emergency doctor told this incident. Many people found it incredible. Some people once found the villagers who were present at the time. They wanted to know what happened during the period when the emergency doctor left, but they were surprised. The thing is, everyone present that day shook their heads. The doctor was confused, but the villagers collectively kept silent about what happened that day. This made some people with curiosity feel that this matter must not be simple. There should be a miracle doctor hidden in Shihan Ridge. Otherwise, they would have been declared disappointed. How could 7 people be alive at the same time? In the Du family, Du Mengnan rushed home happily, threw the Kun bag on the sofa, sat next to his grandfather Du Gang, and held Du Gang's hand. Grandpa, let me tell you something, you must be willing to listen. Du Yongchang and his wife glanced at Du Mengnan. Their daughter had been happy every day since May Day when she came home. Many times she would sit alone and giggle in a daze. This made them know in their hearts that their daughter was probably in love, and they also knew in their hearts that the boy chosen by this arrogant and extremely confident daughter was Zhao Xinyu, whom the old man had always admired. Su Mei didn't have much reaction, but Du Yongchang was really a little conflicted. He had met Zhao Xinyu and knew that Zhao Xinyu was a rare and good boy, but he always felt that the identity of Zhao Xinyu and his daughter Du Mengnan, the difference is huge. Now that the daughter comes back and says there is something that the old man is willing to hear, there is no need to think that this matter must have something to do with Zhao Xinyu, because almost everything the daughter says these days has something to do with Zhao Xinyu. Du Gang laughed and said, "What's the matter? Grandpa, let me tell you, Zhao Xinyu's medical skills are really amazing." Just 2 days ago, when Du Mengnan told the doctor that Zhao Xinyu and the others were buried 2 days ago, Zhao Xinyu only told the story of rescuing 7 lifeless people in a few minutes. Du Yongchang was slightly taken aback, and he shook his head. Meng, this matter is too mysterious. This is what movies and TV shows don't dare to shoot like this. You are still young, so you can't be blinded. You must choose your path in life well. If you choose the wrong one, you will regret it for the rest of your life. Du Gang shook his head. Meng, your father doesn't believe you, but Grandpa believes you. If you tell others, Grandpa doesn't believe it, but if it's that kid Zhao Xinyu, Grandpa believes it. Du Yongchang smiled bitterly. He did not dare to refute the old man's words. Seeing Du Yongchang's wry smile, Du Gang looked at his son. Don't forget about your uncle. Almost all the doctors were helpless, but the child Xinyu only went away for 3 days, and the old leader came back to life. 2 days ago, we passed phone call. The old leader said that many of his problems have disappeared now, and the results of the physical examination put those so-called famous doctors to shame. The old leader still has at least 20 years to live. This is so amazing, maybe. Du Gang sighed slightly. Boss, Chinese medicine is profound, but you know too little. Hua Bai, you should know. Hearing this name, Du Gang's face immediately showed a trace of respect. Hua Bai is a leading figure in the Chinese medicine community. He stamps his feet and the Chinese medicine community trembles. Moreover, Mr. Hua Bai is kind to the Du family. This kind of existence is the person he respects the most. Do you know that Mr. Hua is looking for this kid Zhao Xinyu everywhere now? Dad, what about you? Du Gang glanced at Du Mengnan and said, Mengmeng, please talk to your parents. When Du Mengnan told Du Yongchang and Su Mei what Zhao Xinyu did on the day of the traditional Chinese medicine examination, serious people like Du Yongchang couldn't help but smile. They never imagined that Zhao Xinyu, who knew etiquette and was not picky about how he treated people and things, would have such a side and dare to call Mr. Hua Bihua his little brother. Dad, let's put it this way, Mr. Hua came to Zhao Xinyu to punish him. No, Xinyu's talent in Chinese medicine is too high. Mr. Hua wants to find him and train him well so that he can become a leader in the field of Chinese medicine in the future. Du Gang's words made Du Yongchang stunned. He looked at his father blankly, his eyes full of disbelief. Du Gang sighed slightly. Boss, don't underestimate Xinyu. I know the good things about you that are different from Mengmeng and Xinyu. I can tell you that when Mengmeng and Xinyu are together, it is Mengmeng who makes Xinyu better, even if he doesn't. This traditional Chinese medicine skill. Dad. This time, not only Du Yongchang and his wife, but also Du Mengnan were a little confused. Du Gang sighed, you will know in the future. Although his father did not tell the reason, Du Mengnan and his family of 3 could tell from the change in Grandpa's expression that what he said was not false. This made the 3 of them wonder. Zhao Xinyu, a village boy from the countryside, would have what a different background, and if it really was a different background, Zhao Xinyu wouldn't have to deliver food or pick up waste. Seeing the change in the expressions of the 3 of them, Du Gang smiled faintly. He looked at Du Mengnan and said, Mengmeng, be careful when going out during this period. The old man in Yangqing called me. His granddaughter almost had an accident in Pengcheng. It's Tong Tong. Du Gang nodded. There was a person who saved Tong Tong that day. Without that person, Pengcheng and Yangqing would have become what they are today. What happened to make Uncle Guan so angry? Thinking about what happened in Pengcheng and Yangqing during this period, Du Yongchang frowned and asked. Someone wanted to attack Guan Bingtong, and Tong Tong was almost insulted. Du Mengnan's face turned pale, but she suddenly thought of the first time she met Zhao Xinyu, and if she hadn't met Zhao Xinyu that time, she would have been alone. After that incident happened, she also thought about telling her grandfather, but thinking about the relationship between the 2 families and her grandfather's character, she didn't tell her. Now that something happened to Guan Bingtong, she didn't know why, but she felt that this incident it must have something to do with that damn scoundrel. Dad, I forgot one thing. Uncle who sent people over 2 days ago. They wanted to match Mengmeng and Zhenyu. That kid knows etiquette. I think that kid is not bad. Du Mengnan's face turned pale, and he stood up with a hint of anger. Dad, I don't agree. Even if I die, I will never have anything to do with that scumbag Hu Zhenyu. Du Mengnan suddenly broke out, which Du Yongchang and Su Mei did not expect, because their daughter had never had such a violent reaction before. Du Gang shook his head. Boss, you just said, don't be blinded by the things in front of you. Mengmeng can make friends with other people, but only people from the Hu family can't. Old who is no longer the same person as he used to be. The Hu family don't talk about it at home in the future. By the way, you should also stay away from the Hu family. Don't blame me for not reminding you if something happens. Over there, Du Mengnan picked up the Kuanbao on the coffee table, and Su Mei couldn't help but ask, Meng, it's dark today, where are you going? Where is Zhao Xinyu? A faint smile appeared on Du Gang's face. Meng, when you come back tomorrow, let that guy stew a pot of crucian carp for me. I haven't eaten stewed crucian carp for a long time. Dad, they have nothing. How could you let Meng spend the night at his place? If this matter spreads, it will be difficult to talk about. Du Gang laughed. I'm just afraid that people don't know that the matter between Meng and Xinyu has been settled. I also hope that they will give me a grandson as soon as possible. Boss, Xinyu's little guy has a special affinity with women, so he must give in. Meng holds him firmly. You may not know that the old leader also plans to let several of his juniors associate with Xinyu, and he has said that as long as they are willing. Du Yongchang and his wife were completely stupid at this time. The old man was just pretending to be someone else. Even he had this idea. What was it about Zhao Xinyu that attracted them? At the beginning of the chapter, I asked you to read it silently 3 times. Do you remember? Share on Facebook and there may be surprises. Chapter 82 Competitor. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Recite the Situ website silently 3 times. Do you remember it? If you don't remember, I'll ask again in the next chapter. It's best to share it on Facebook for me. On a bench in the grape grove in the compound, Du Mengnan was lying in Zhao Xinyu's arms, looking a little distracted at the clusters of green grapes with pink layers on the shelf. Zhao Xinyu was also a little confused at the moment. Du Mengnan had just returned from his place. Less than an hour after leaving, he turned back with an unhappy look on his face. He also asked, but Du Mengnan said nothing. Zhao Xinyu, why do people fight for power and profit? Zhao Xinyu smiled faintly, lowered his head and kissed Du Mengnan's pretty face. These are matters of big shots, I don't know. Then what kind of life do you like? Unfettered and free, Du Mengnan sighed quietly. Actually, everyone wants to live such a life, but a few can get it. By the way, have you considered what I told you this afternoon? Now, whether it is the Qingqing or the Purple Emperors, your reputation has spread in the circle. As long as you open a store, it won't take long and you will have wealth that everyone can envy. Du Mengnan suddenly thought of the words of her father Du Yongchang. She liked Zhao Xinyu, but he didn't want Zhao Xinyu to lose face in front of his family, so he thought of letting Zhao Xinyu develop in business. Zhao Xinyu's eyes flickered for a few times. He also heard from Du Mengnan that famous foreign cosmetics and wine merchants had sent professional commercial spies to look for him. In fact, their only purpose was to find the formula of the Purple Emperor that would make the country beautiful and have a monopoly. These 2 products. He would definitely not sell the formula. Thinking about what Du Mengnan said, good things should be shared, and he nodded. I've thought about it, but I won't let the product appear with my name. Du Mengnan chuckled, this is very simple. Nowadays, when doing business, there is a rule that you can keep it confidential, but now many people are greedy for money. Your formula is priceless. If you want to develop for a long time, you must control your formula. In one's own hands. Okay, let me choose a few people and see who is suitable. One more thing, your vegetable business has already grown in scale, have you thought about expanding it? Seeing Zhao Xinyu nod, Du Mengnan stood up and leaned on Zhao Xinyu. If you expand your business again, it will definitely attract the attention of many people. They will try to raise the price to buy the abandoned courtyards and farmland around you. This you should have figured it out, so I want you to take advantage of the fact that your career has just started and buy all the abandoned yards around it. I have also seen it. The right side of your yard is very similar to your current compound. You can buy it as long as you pay for it. But there are people living in the courtyard behind, but there is farmland on the left, so I think you should take down the farmland on the left and the yards on the right first. Zhao Xinyu nodded. In fact, after the Chinese New Year this year, Han Tianliang also led people to spread the word. The owners of the houses on the right also had new homes outside. They also had the idea of selling their yards, but he didn't think too far ahead at that time, so just no purchase. Now listening to what Du Mengnan said, he also thinks this is the truth. According to Han Tianliang, after the school is completed this year, most of the migrant workers will return. Labor should not be a problem. It only needs to introduce water sources to the left and right sides of the compound. The area has become like a compound. Looking at Zhao Xinyu, who was thinking about everything, Du Mengnan smiled and said, "When we renovated the yard last year, I asked them to dig a ditch in front of your yard. As long as you buy the area on the right, you can fill it with water. The garbage gully is contracted, and with a little digging there, that gully can be turned into a second compound." Zhao Xinyu was stunned for a moment and held Du Mengnan in his arms. "Meng, you helped me think of it last year. Grandpa said that you will definitely not be ordinary in the future. This yard alone cannot realize your dream, so I will. Meng, it's great to have you." Du Mengnan chuckled, his eyes filled with happiness. "Don't you feel like you're at a disadvantage?" Zhao Xinyu shook his head. "I still feel like I'm at a bit of a disadvantage." "Zhao Xinyu, you want to die?" Now Zhao Xinyu's reputation in Shihan Ridge is extremely high. In addition, he saved 7 of Zhao Ximing and others by repaying evil with kindness. This has made Zhao Xinyu's reputation reach its peak in Shihan Ridge. The owner of the house had the idea of selling the yard. The village had already had the idea to let Zhao Xinyu take over the 2 garbage-filled ravines on the right side. So after Zhao Xinyu proposed it, in 2 days, only 2 days, the 2 ravines on the right side of the compound were taken over. The ravine and the area in between, with 6 households and almost hundreds of acres sandwiched between the 2 ravines, are under Zhao Xinyu's name. The original idea was to also contract nearly 100 acres of farmland on the left side of Luoshui, but because he had no more plans, Zhao Xinyu decided not to contract the hundreds of acres of farmland shared by more than a dozen households for the time being. When the renovation of the ravines and courtyards on the west side began, 2 registered companies appeared in Pengcheng. The registered capital of the 2 registered companies was not much, but the products of the 2 registered companies caused a sensation: the Purple Emperor who conquered the country and conquered the city. These 2 names are very unfamiliar to ordinary people, but to some wealthy families in Pengcheng and Yanjing, as well as Western cosmetics and red wine giants, they are no less than an earthquake. Qinghua Qingqing has a fatal attraction for women. Not to mention any side effects, any woman will become younger and more beautiful after using Qinghua Qingqing, especially the older the age, the more obvious the change. In addition, Qinghua Qingqing has a total of 15 different scents, so a year ago Qinghua Qingqing has become a hot commodity that is difficult to buy with money. Purple Emperor, a bottle of wine priced at 28,000 yuan, is just a wine served in a bamboo tube, but the taste is not comparable to the more expensive and well-known brand red wines. The price of 28,000 yuan is almost a person's annual income for ordinary people, but in Pengcheng Hotel, you may not be able to buy it even. If you spend 28,000 yuan, because the taste of Purple Emperor is more special, when Purple Emperor was sold in Pengcheng Hotel, it has caused panic among Western red wine giants. They know that if Purple Emperor goes on the market, it will undoubtedly be a disaster for them who have monopolized this industry for many years. A huge disaster. It is precisely because of this that when the country was in turmoil last year and the Purple Emperor had not yet opened a stall, the Western cosmetics giants and red wine monopoly tycoons had already sent out many commercial spies. Their only purpose was to get 2 kind of formula, but for a year, they didn't have the formula they wanted. Not only did they not get the formula, they also didn't know where these 2 products came from. Now 2 registered companies have appeared in Pengcheng area, and they still use the names of Qinghua Qingqing and Purple Emperor. This immediately attracted the attention of people who have been paying attention to these 2 products. The cosmetics giants and red wine tycoons could not sit still. While sending out commercial spies, they began to find out who controlled the 2 companies. What disappointed them was that what they found out was that the registrants of the 2 companies were kept secret, and there was no way to find out even if they had connections through someone else. They had a premonition of the impact that Purple Emperor and Qinghua Qingqing would have on their industry if they developed, and they began to have other ideas. Later, I did not see where the purple Emperor and Qingwa Qingqing companies were unveiled, but there were two agent shops next to each other on the most prosperous street in Pengcheng. The two stores represented Purple Emperor and Qingwa Qingqing respectively. Purple Emperor and Qingwa Qingqing have long been famous, so the two agencies were overcrowded with customers on the first day they opened. Before the store started selling, they told customers that so far, they are the only ones in the world. There are no other agents selling this product, so customers must pay more attention when choosing to buy. The bottle of Qingwa Qingqing is still the same as before, but the label has changed. The label is as ancient as the bottle, and the lid is not sealed by modern technology, but the ancient sealing method. Unlike Qingwa Qingqing, Purple Emperor has changed its packaging, and the green bamboo tube has become the bottle used by red wine that people see every day. Except for the label, which still has a retro charm, the rest is not too different from the red wine in people's impression. Big gap. In terms of sales, the two agents seem to have a certain tacit understanding. Each day's sales volume has a certain limit. Purple Emperor only sells 10 bottles a day, while Qingwa Qingqing sells 10 bottles of each type and 15 types every day. 150 bottles in total. Because the sales quantity is limited, there are too many people who want to buy, and customers complain, but there is no way. If they want to get these products, they must decide by drawing lots. Then a phenomenon emerged. That is, some people purchased these two products at high prices, which also led to more people coming early to queue up. Zhao Xinyu, you can't sell like this. Do you know that many people who really want to buy the two products can't buy them now? Most of the products you sell are bought by people at high prices. Once they resell them, a bottle of Purple Emperor's the price is 60,000 yuan, and a bottle of Qingwa Qingqing sold for 110,000 yuan. Zhao Xinyu couldn't help but smile bitterly when he saw Du Mengnan. There were very few Purple Emperors left, and there was no way to sell them in batches. Although Qingwa Qingqing had already hired a few people to start production, the final process still relied on him, every day. The Qingwa Qingqing produced is still in short supply. Meng, what do you think about our online booking? You can only book once in a month based on your identity information. The store also conducts real name registration, and the person who purchases it must make the next purchase 1 month later. At the beginning of the chapter, I asked you to read it silently 3 times. Do you remember? Share on Facebook and there may be surprises. Chapter 83, Change Your Past Mistakes. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Recite the Situ website silently 3 times. Do you remember it? If you don't remember, I'll ask again in the next chapter. It's best to share it on Facebook for me. With the implementation of this system, those who want to buy products by drawing numbers do not have many options. After all, everyone only has one ID card. The commercial spies sent by the major Western giants also purchased 2 products, Qingwa Qingqing and Purple Emperor, at high prices. After getting the product, the cosmetics and red wine giants immediately began to study the structure of the product, trying to find out the raw material combination of the product, but a few days later, the results they got disappointed them. Not to mention finding the formula, they couldn't even find the raw materials. 2 different types of raw materials in the product had been perfectly blended together to form a brand new species. It is simply impossible to do this with the technology they have now. The 2 products Purple Emperor and Qingwa Qingqing are very popular on the internet, but they have not had any impact on the compound. The renovation project on the west side of the compound is in full swing, and the hot weather this year did not know how to appear in advance. Because of the hot weather, the sales of cold drinks, watermelon and other summer cooling products are extremely hot, and the price of watermelon has gone up even more. The bitter vegetable and sour soup that has been on trial sale in the compound as early as the May Day period has also been officially sold to the outside world. At this time, bitter vegetables are already considered a luxury wild vegetable for ordinary citizens, but the bitter vegetable sour soup sold here in the compound can be considered as cheap compared to the popular cold drinks and watermelons on the market. In addition, bitter cabbage sour soup is rich in nutrients and has a unique taste, so it became popular in the entire Pengcheng market as soon as it was launched. In just a few days, bitter cabbage sour soup became a unique scenery in the streets and alleys of Pengcheng. many people have also seen the business opportunities in bitter cabbage sour soup. They also tried to pickle bitter cabbage sour soup. No matter what method they used, the pickled bitter cabbage sour soup was not as sour as the bitter cabbage sour soup sold by the courtyard. The unique taste of soup, this makes countless people who want to profit from bitter vegetable sour soup sigh with emotion. They really can't figure out why the compound can pickle it with such a taste, and many of them have hired people from the north to pickle it. For an old man who has been working for many years, the taste of pickled food is still not as good as that of pickled food in the compound. When the price of watermelons in the market remained high, the number of customers at Pengcheng Hotel, Kaigui, which specialized in selling garden vegetables, and the farmhouse in Zhihanling suddenly increased. The reason for the overcrowding of customers is none other than the watermelons and muskmelons that opened in advance in the courtyard, which are different from the watermelons and muskmelons sold in the market. The watermelon grown in the compound is as sweet as honey. Even if it is exposed to the scorching sun for an hour, the watermelon is still as cold as ice. One bite will make the whole body feel cool. Because the watermelon tastes so good, many people even the melon rind is eaten as a cold dish. Some people also question what was injected into the watermelons and muskmelons grown in the compound. The quality inspection department then took samples for testing, and the results of the testing made countless people crazy. There are no chemical elements in watermelons and muskmelons, and the sugar in them can be directly absorbed by the human body. Even people with diabetes can eat watermelons grown in the compound, and it will not increase the amount of sugar in the body. On the contrary, it can inhibit the body's increased sugar content. Such a result is shocking to normal people, but it is good news to diabetics. This makes the watermelons and muskmelons grown in the compound become good gifts for people. What surprised the people in Pengcheng was that the compound did not increase the price of watermelons and melons because of their special effects. The sales price was only slightly higher than the prices of watermelons and melons in the market. Zhao Xinyu, you can't buy these watermelons and melons like this. Do you know that most of the customers who go to my place to eat every day go there for the purple emperor, watermelons, and melons? The remaining watermelons and melons are left for me. Let's go. Du Mengnan, who was beside the melon field, hugged Zhao Xinyu's arm and acted coquettishly. Meng, don't worry. Look, I have been buying this for more than 20 days. Look how many watermelons and melons there are in the melon patch. I will keep them for you when the time is right. Du Mengnan looked at the melon field and could only see lumps of watermelons and muskmelons. In fact, she was also very puzzled. Every day when she came here, Zhao Xinyu would pick the ripe watermelons and muskmelons in advance, which totaled more than 10 acres of muskmelons. More than 10 acres of watermelon, in the past half month, at most 1/5 has been sold. Then I'm not worried. You don't know how popular your watermelons and melons are now. Even people from other areas come here to buy your watermelons and melons. Starting from tomorrow, I will transport more to the hotel and store them. Zhao Xinyu couldn't help but feel happy. Suddenly he looked at the door of the compound. The sound of gongs and drums came from far away and seemed to be coming towards him. This is not the New Year or the festival, what is this doing? Du Mengnan was also a little confused. Let's go out and have a look. Before they could reach the door, a person entered the compound, and Hei Feng, who was following the two of them, couldn't help but let out a low roar when he saw the person coming in. The roar was full of hostility. Zhao Xinyu was also stunned when he saw the person clearly. The person who came was none other than Zhao Ximing, who had been clamoring to kill him. Behind Zhao Ximing were 6 little ruffians. Zhao Ximing still looks the same, but the 6 little gangsters behind him have changed a lot. Their yellow hair has turned black, and their clothes are no longer casual. After the 7 people saw Zhao Xinyu, they all fell to their knees with a plop. Zhao Ximing looked at Zhao Xinyu and said, Zhao Xinyu, we are not human beings. We treated you like that before, but in the end you saved the 7 of us regardless of the past grudges. This paragraph we have also heard from our family about how you treated our family. Today we swear here to be good people in the future. Zhao Xinyu was slightly startled. He once heard Han Tianyang say that Zhao Ximing and the others did this kind of thing. But then he saw Zhao Ximing and his 7 family members. They came in carrying a plaque with the gift of reconstruction written on them. There were tears in everyone's eyes, looking at Zhao Ximing and the others kneeling on the ground. There was also a layer of mist in their eyes, and Zhao Xinyu's heart moved slightly. Get out of the way. Following several calls, Han Li and Han Jun came in from behind, with a trace of nervousness on each of their faces. However, when they saw Zhao Ximing and the others kneeling on the ground, Han Li and the others were also stunned. Zhao Ximing, what did you do? Don't think that Xinyu is an outsider and you just want to bully him. Zhao Ximing looked at Han Li and the others. Han Li, Han Jun, we were not human before. We did many things that shamed the villagers of Xihanling and shamed our ancestors. Now we must change our past and follow our lead. Let the Savior get rich together. You have done too many things like this. Who will believe you? Han Jun said with a frown. I believe them, Zhao Xinyu finally said. As soon as he said this, not only Han Li and Han Jun, but also Zhao Ximing, the 7 of them, and their families were stunned. None of them expected that Zhao Xinyu would say this. The next moment, Zhao Ximing and the others lay on the ground crying bitterly. Zhao Xinyu sighed slightly. Zhao Ximing, all of you, please get up. I also grew up in the village. I know that your nature is not bad. The reason why you have made so many mistakes in the past is the problem is also because you are too poor. Since you are willing to correct it, everyone believes in you. Zhao Ximing and the other 7 trembled, and they looked up at Zhao Xinyu. Do you really believe in us? Zhao Xinyu smiled faintly. Of course I believe you. You have also seen that our village is different from before. Every household is busy making money. You should also learn from others. As long as you have money, you can stand up. Be an upright person. Zhao Ximing wiped his tears and sighed. Firstly, we are here to thank you for your life-saving grace, secondly to make a promise to you, and thirdly to bid farewell to you. We also know that everything we have done in the past is for you. The villagers are not ashamed, they will not accept us. We will leave Pengcheng tomorrow, and if we cannot achieve something, we will not come back. Zhao Xinyu shook his head. Zhao Ximing, you don't have any skills to do anything out there. People who went out to work have come back. Why do you want to go out? Besides, we all grew up eating the same well water, and you haven't done anything harmful to the world. As long as you do your job well, no one will look down on you. After saying this, Zhao Xinyu's eyes flickered a few times. Well, you all come to my place tomorrow, help pick and deliver vegetables in the morning, and help take care of Luo Shui when you have nothing to do. I will give you 5,000 a month. But there is one thing I want to tell you in advance. If I know that you are drinking and causing trouble, don't blame me for being rude. How dare you use us? Zhao Xinyu laughed and patted Hei Feng beside him. What am I afraid of? You should have heard about Hei Feng. If you do well, I will give each of you a salary of 8,000 a month next year. These words shocked everyone present. You must know that Han Li's monthly salary is only 10,000 yuan. If Zhao Ximing and others can get 8,000 yuan, it does not mean that they will become Zhao Xinyu like Han Li and others. Someone you can trust. Zhao Xinyu, you trust us like this. I, Zhao Ximing, swear here that if I betray you, Zhao Xinyu, and harm the villagers again, I will be willing to be struck by 5 thunderbolts from heaven. Zhao Xinyu laughed and said, I swear I won't have to do it. Okay, since you are willing to change your past, go pick some vegetables now. I will treat you to a meal at noon, which can be a blessing for you. And just that morning, the news that Zhao Xinyu accepted Zhao Ximing and the 7 of them spread throughout Xihanling. Almost everyone did not believe that Zhao Ximing and the others could change their past, and what they were more worried about was what Zhao Ximing would do to them. Unfavorable things for Zhao Xinyu. At the beginning of the chapter, I asked you to read it silently 3 times. Do you remember? Share on Facebook and there may be surprises. Chapter 84, Counterfeiting Incident. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Recite the Situ website silently 3 times. Do you remember it? If you don't remember, I'll ask again in the next chapter. It's best to share it on Facebook for me. Not only were the villagers worried, Han Li and the others also quietly reminded Zhao Xinyu that in their imaginations, it was impossible for people like Zhao Ximing and others to change their ways. Han Li and the others secretly talked to Zhao Xinyu, and of course Zhao Ximing and the others could feel it while they were busy. However, when they saw Zhao Xinyu just smiled faintly, did not say anything, and did not look at them with lustful eyes. The inner thoughts of these 7 people. I am even more grateful to Zhao Xinyu. The 7 people from Zhao Ximing stayed in the compound amidst the villagers' discussions. Maybe they also knew what the villagers thought of them. Many times they just worked and didn't talk. Even if they talked, the 7 of them would communicate together or talk to Zhao Xinyu. A few words. After a period of time, the villagers discovered that Zhao Ximing and the 7 of them really seemed to have changed. When they were working, they all rushed to work. They rarely went to places where the villagers gathered, and they drank less often. The changes really surprised the villagers. A month later, they received news from Zhao Ximing and his 7 parents that except for leaving a few $100s for their daily expenses, the money they received in the first month was all handed over to their parents. Although they still didn't believe them, some villagers greeted them intentionally or unintentionally, and the 7 of them were flattered. Zhao Ximing and the others are changing little by little. After all, they all grew up drinking water from the same well. The villagers also take note of their changes, and the villagers are slowly accepting them. And on this day, Zhao Xinyu received a call from Cai Jinquan, who managed Qinghua Qingqing, saying that someone came to his door with a bottle of Qinghua Qingqing, saying that the Qinghua Qingqing he bought was fake, and he asked for a return. When Zhao Xinyu heard the news, he smiled coldly. He told Cai Jinquan to ignore it and then hung up the phone. Zhao Xinyu knew in his heart that someone was finally going to cause trouble. He knew in his heart that this person who came to his door would not be the last, and more people would come to his door with fake Qinghua Qingqing. Zhao Xinyu ignored him, but someone couldn't keep his temper. Less than half an hour after Zhao Xinyu hung up the phone, Du Mengnan came to the door. Zhao Xinyu, what's going on? How come there is a fake Qinghua Qingqing appearing? I just went to check it out. There are a lot of people gathered there. The Qinghua Qingqing that person is holding is exactly the same as the Qinghua Qingqing sold in the store. He said that his wife has been disfigured because of the use of Qinghua Qingqing. Zhao Xinyu smiled lightly and said, don't worry, more people will come to your door in 2 days. Seeing Zhao Xinyu's calm look, Du Mengnan was slightly startled and said, Zhao Xinyu, you mean someone is doing something behind his back? Zhao Xinyu nodded, I'll prepare whatever you want for lunch. Things will become clear in a few days. Du Mengnan raised his hand and lightly tapped Zhao Xinyu on the shoulder. You made me worry for nothing, but you thought of a solution. The bottle he took out is exactly the same as yours. Zhao Xinyu laughed, I bought the bottle online. As long as they have money, anyone can buy it. However, they can spend money to buy the bottle, but they cannot create the trademark on the bottle. What's so great about trademarks? Cloning technology is so advanced now that even people can be cloned, let alone a simple trademark. Zhao Xinyu laughed and said, you will know in a few days that traditional Chinese medicine is profound, and it cannot be cloned by cloning technology. In the next 3 days, customers came to the door with Qinghua Qingqing every day, which also discouraged many customers who planned to buy Qinghua Qingqing. Then the door was blocked, and a tightly wrapped woman appeared in front of the store to testify. They said they were disfigured by the Qinghua Qingqing sold in the store. On the 7th day, the relevant departments finally took action. They jointly went to the store to seal the door and seal up the treasures in the store. Several media reporters followed them. The appearance of the media made those people even crazier. They even wanted to enter the store and smash it. They faced the media and asked for compensation. The compensation demanded by each person was a figure that made the onlookers stunned. Cai Jinquan, who had been ignoring those people for the past few days, finally showed up. However, people saw that Cai Jinquan was not worried at all. Instead, he looked at the dozens of people asking for compensation. With ridicule in his eyes, Cai Jinquan said to the media reporters, I think everyone wants to know why we didn't deal with this matter in those days. As soon as Chai Jinquan said these words, the media, law enforcement agencies and the onlookers all felt that there must be something wrong with it. They all looked at Chai Jinquan and wanted to know if King Guoqingqing had any backup plan. Chai Jinquan saw that everyone noticed this, and he knew that his goal had been achieved. He looked at the customer who was the first to say that he had purchased fake and shoddy products. You said you bought the King Guoqingqing in your hands from us, right? I bought it from you. All of us bought our country from you. Chai Jinquan smiled coldly. You have forgotten. The Qingguo Qingqing in our store has a unique patent. Not only the formula and taste of Qingguo Qingqing are unique, but the labels on the outer packaging have been specially processed. While speaking, he turned to look at a media reporter. You can enter the store and choose 10 bottles of Qingguo Qingqing. I want to verify the outer packaging of the Qingguo Qingqing we sell. Are you kidding me? Chai Jinquan smiled coldly, turned to look at the clerk. Please note down the identity information of these people. Seeing the clerk nodding, a man blocking the door shrank and looked at the people who came to enforce the law. You have all seen it, they are threatening us. If such a black shop is not closed, why are we waiting? At this time, a media reporter had already selected 10 bottles of King Guoqingqing. Chai Jinquan smiled faintly. He looked at those who came over and said, find 10 bottles among you and let's make a comparison. Soon the real and fake King Guoqingqing were placed on the same table. Chai Jinquan looked at the media reporters. You can all go over and touch the 2 labels, and you will be able to discover something. A voice of surprise came. They found that the 2 piles of Qingguo Qingqing labels were really different in feel. The labels those people brought over were all very smooth, but the Qingguo Qingqing labels selected from the store had obvious differences. The concave and convex feeling. After the media reporters experienced it, Chai Jinquan looked at the people watching the excitement and said, everyone should come and experience it to avoid buying fake King Guoqingqing in the future. People seemed to feel something at this time, and many people felt it in the past. Just as those media reporters were puzzled, the 2 labels could clearly feel the difference in feel. Seeing people's surprised looks, Chai Jinquan knew that the effect had been achieved. He said softly, use your mobile phone's flashlight to shine on the label. And then the sound of gasping for air came from one by one. Under the illumination of the flashlight, they saw 4 words inside the label, King Guoqingqing. But there was nothing on the King Guoqingqing that those people brought over. Then take a look at the sealing wax on the mouth of the bottle. How is it possible? The exclamations kept ringing. They saw that there were also 4 small characters in the sealing wax, which also meant King Guoqingqing. However, the ones those people took over also had no writing on them. Moreover, the King Guoqingqing that was brought out from the store had a transparent and moist yellow sealing wax, but the ones those people brought over were all turbid, with almost no transparency. Everyone has seen it. I think you can all think of the reason for this. Everyone looked at the people who came to block the door to question, only to find that many of them were already ashen-faced. Half of them turned around and ran away when they saw the eyes staring at them, but this time they came for joint law enforcement, including law enforcement officers who maintained public order. When they saw someone trying to run away, they understood something instantly. Dozens of people were arrested on the spot. Seeing those people being controlled, Chai Jinquan smiled coldly. Everyone has seen it. In the future, when you buy Qingguo Qingqing, you must inspect the goods on the spot. Our Qingguo Qingqing's anti-counterfeiting logo is an anti-counterfeiting inheritance passed down by our ancestors of traditional Chinese medicine. People who are not proficient in traditional Chinese medicine cannot fake the logo. Not to mention the Qingguo Qingqing here, the Purple Emperor next door also has the same anti-counterfeiting technology. Everyone must check it when purchasing in the future to avoid being deceived. As the farce of fake and shoddy Qingguo Qingqing came to an end, those who came to block the door and make trouble were taken away for investigation. Qingguo Qingqing, who had been spurned by people for several days, completely turned around in front of the media, and even passed it for free. The media did an ad, if the people in Pengcheng were boycotting King Guoqingqing a few days ago, and through this farce, King Guoqingqing was drunk. This also made many people who pursue Qingguoqingqing know how to distinguish Qingguoqingqing. The method of authenticity. After the media reports, many people who bought Qingguoqingqing immediately checked the authenticity, and as Chai Jinquan said, both Qingguoqingqing and Purple Emperor have special anti-counterfeiting marks. Later, Chinese medicine experts came forward to confirm that the Qingguoqingqing and Purple Emperor products indeed use the most sophisticated anti-counterfeiting technology in ancient Chinese medicine. However, this technology is not available to any manufacturer, because this anti-counterfeiting technology was lost thousands of years ago, and if you want to use this anti-counterfeiting technology, you must have someone who is well versed in traditional Chinese medicine. The news has come. Not only domestic but also many foreign business giants have approached Chai Jinquan, and they want to spend huge sums of money to buy out this anti-counterfeiting technology. However, what disappointed them was that Chai Jinquan directly told all the representatives of the giants that this technology is an anti-counterfeiting technology of ancient Chinese medicine. If you want to buy it, go to the Chinese Medical Association of China. At the beginning of the chapter, I asked you to read it silently 3 times. Do you remember? Share on Facebook and there may be surprises. Chapter 85, Wild Mushrooms Enter Your Home. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Recite the Situ website silently 3 times. Do you remember it? If you don't remember, I'll ask again in the next chapter. It's best to share it on Facebook for me. While people were talking about it, 2 stores, Qingguoqingqing and Purple Emperor, issued statements at the same time, that is, all people are welcome to report counterfeit brands of the 2 brands. If anyone's report is true, the merchant will reward 500,000 yuan. If the report leads to the production stall, 1 million will be awarded. As soon as the news came out, the whole circle was in a sensation. People were looking for stalls selling counterfeit products, while people in the industry all praised it. This is why Qingguoqingqing and Purple Emperor have such confidence and skill. If it were replaced by in other industries, they really don't dare to do this. After all, there are many world-famous brands. Which famous brand does not have fake and shoddy products? But Qingguoqingqing and Purple Emperor rely on their unique anti-counterfeiting technology, making it really difficult for people to fake them. Then people suddenly realized a problem. 2 seemingly unrelated brands, Qingguoqingqing and Purple Emperor, had a common feature, that is, their anti-counterfeiting technologies seem to come from the same person. That doesn't mean that the Purple Emperor and the alluring general manager that people have been searching for should also come from the same place. Then people started to dig deeper, and finally through the Purple Emperor and the alluring general manager, everyone's eyes were looking at the same place. That is Xihanling, which became popular in Pengcheng within 1 year. As a result, there were some unfamiliar faces among the people going in and out of Xihanling, but most of them gathered near the compound. Zhao Xinyu, do you know how worried I was about you in those days? I didn't expect you to have a backup plan. Du Mengnan lightly punched Zhao Xinyu, his eyes filled with happiness. She first met Zhao Xinyu because Zhao Xinyu saved him and did not take advantage of others' danger. She admired Zhao Xinyu as a gentleman, so she helped Zhao Xinyu. Later, he discovered that the vegetables he grew had a unique taste, were pollution-free, and had higher nutritional value than similar vegetables. As the contact deepened, she discovered that Zhao Xinyu had a hidden side, and he was not complacent about it. At that time, she began to appreciate Zhao Xinyu. When Yuma and the others were making fun of them, she slowly discovered that she had fallen in love with this guy who had no arrogance at all. As his property gradually grew, she discovered that Zhao Xinyu had a very weak concept of money. He couldn't bear to see the people in the village being poor. He earned a lot last year, but he spent 1/3 of his money through various forms. Given to the villagers, coupled with her grandfather's constant reminders and encouragement, she confessed her love. Through contact, she became increasingly unable to understand this guy, but she could occasionally feel Zhao Xinyu's deep love for her. Zhao Xinyu laughed and looked at Du Mengnan. Meng, you now know why I said I suffered a big loss. Du Mengnan blushed and spat. Aren't you afraid that your anti-counterfeiting technology will fail? Zhao Xinyu shook his head. That anti-counterfeiting technology was developed by the ancients after hundreds of years of accumulation. The wisdom of the ancients is beyond our imagination. Moreover, traditional Chinese medicine technology is also used in anti-counterfeiting. It is too difficult to counterfeit. No wonder you are so confident. Just when the two of them were deeply in love, Zhao Xinyu, who was watering the grape grove, returned to the yard and said, "Xinyu, I see some grapes have turned purple. I think the grape garden will be open in at least 7 or 8 days. To be honest, I have also stayed in vineyards outside. Grapes usually mature in July and August, but the grapes here begin to mature in June. This is the first time I have seen it." After this period of time, Zhao Xinyu lost the ruffian spirit of the past, became much calmer, and drank less. This is why Zhao Xinyu was willing to let him come to this area to work. "Brother Ming, pick a few bunches of ripe grapes and give them to your uncle, aunt, and sister-in-law to try. Our grapes are all new varieties and they taste very good." Zhao Xinyu was slightly stunned. During the time he came to the compound, he also knew the people who helped in the compound. Zhao Xinyu would ask them to bring some vegetables back every day. Judging from the reactions of the villagers, he also knew that Zhao Xinyu was coming from his own heart. What's in the heart is not about buying people's hearts or anything like that. Forget the grapes, I also tasted them. If we take these grapes out, we will definitely get a good price. More than 10 yuan per caddy will definitely be no problem. If I take such expensive grapes back, my father will scold me to death. Brother Ming, we all grew up in the village. You also know that the things we grow ourselves are not valuable. If we are not willing to eat what we grow, then why are we growing it? Besides, look at us, how many grapes there are in the courtyard are still a few pounds short of what we can eat." After saying this, Zhao Xinyu looked at Du Mengnan and said, "Meng, let's go over and take a look, and pick some for Grandpa and the others." After going around in a circle, Du Mengnan's car came out with several baskets of fresh grapes, and Zhao Xinyu and the other 7 people who helped picked a basket each. This made Zhao Xinyu and the others burst into tears with gratitude. They really didn't expect that Zhao Xinyu will treat them so sincerely. Zhao Xinyu didn't know that it was his unintentional actions that completely changed Zhao Xinyu and the 7 of them, allowing Zhao Xinyu and several people who had been spurned by the villagers to finally see the bright light on the road of life. When Zhao Xinyu came back from seeing Du Mengnan off, he saw that the Hami apricots and black gem plums planted outside the compound had also changed color. He reached out and picked a Hami apricot and took a bite. Then his eyes lit up. Although the cantaloupe apricots are not yet fully ripe, they are not sour and sweet, and there is a faint taste of cantaloupe inside. Meng, come back quickly." Zhao Xinyu hurriedly called Du Mengnan. Unlike the dozens of grapes, Hami apricots, and black gem plums in front of the courtyard, the outside of the courtyard is different from the inside. There are many people here every day. It is true that people pick a few to quench their thirst. It's normal, so it looks like there are a lot of them, but in fact it only takes a few days to pick them all. What's wrong? Zhao Xinyu shook the black gem plums in his hand and said, "Hami apricots and black gem plums taste good. You can pick some and take them back, or they will be gone in a few days." Du Mengnan picked a ham apricot and took a bite. Then his eyes lit up and said, "It's delicious. It's really delicious. Pick more." Later, Han Li and others also learned that Hami apricots and plums were ripe, and within one afternoon, only the leaves of dozens of trees were left. Zhao Xinyu, apricots and plums are a scarce fruit here. If apricots and plums are planted in that developed area next year, I dare say they will be able to sell them at a good price. Zhao Xinyu nodded, "Let's see next year. The land there has been leveled and water has been stored in the ditch. While there is still time, I plan to plant cabbage there first. After a while, the streets will be full of cabbage. You can't even pay enough for labor by growing cabbage." Zhao Xinyu laughed and said, "At worst, we won't sell it. The pickled sauerkraut can be eaten for several years. Ignore you, I think there should be a fully enclosed yard and a bridge built over there, so that it can be easier to manage there." Zhao Xinyu nodded, "I plan to encircle those 2 gullies and that land. This time we don't need walls, we will use fences, so that people can observe at close range. Shooting, save the province, and now some people say that our vegetables use fertilizers, pesticides. As the renovation project comes to an end, all the wasteland reclaimed by the newly renovated compound has been planted with cabbage and white radish, and on this night, Zhao Xinyu entered the space. When he saw the wild mushrooms and fungus growing densely in the space, his heart moved slightly. He went to the vineyard at night, dug out some soil from the area where wild mushrooms grew, and spread it evenly in a grape grove. In the following days, Zhao Xinyu would go to that area every day to take a look, but nothing happened in that area as he imagined, which made Zhao Xinyu very disappointed. There was lightning and thunder in the middle of the night that day. When he woke up early the next morning, Zhao Xinyu went to that area as a habit. When he got closer, his eyes lit up and there was deep joy in his eyes. He saw small fist-sized earth bags appearing in the originally flat and soft fields. Many of the earth bags had broken open, revealing yellow-brown wild mushrooms. Successful, really successful, Zhao Xinyu said to himself excitedly, then took out his mobile phone and took a video and sent it to Du Mengnan. A few minutes later, Du Mengnan called, "Zhao Xinyu, you went into the mountains, why didn't you take me with you?" Du Mengnan's words were full of unhappiness. "Why did I go into the mountain? It's our grape forest. Come here quickly. There are a lot of wild mushrooms. Don't move, wait for me to pass." The news that wild mushrooms were growing in the grape grove quickly reached Han Li and the others. When Du Mengnan arrived at the compound, each short video and photo had been posted to WeChat Moments, and immediately the WeChat Moments became a sensation, and this thunderstorm also turned the grapes completely purple. On this day, many citizens gathered around Luo Shui and in front of the compound. They all came over after seeing the circle of friends. Their meaning was very obvious. They wanted to be the first to taste the mouth-watering grapes and wild mushrooms that had just emerged from the compound. Zhao Xinyu made a temporary decision to open the compound for one day to allow people to pick in the compound. After his decision, hundreds of people entered the vineyard soon, and those people were tasting the fruits in the compound. After tasting the unique tasting grapes, they called their relatives and friends one after another. Before 8 o'clock, the compound was overcrowded again. There were not many wild mushrooms left in one day, but it was not clear how many grapes had been picked. This did not mean that people only picked wild mushrooms and not grapes, it's because there are too many grapes. There are more than 10 acres of grapes. After picking several thousand kilograms, the difference is not much different from when they were not picked. However, Zhao Xinyu has a full harvest. On this day of picking, he has more grapes in his hands. More than 100,000, this was a number that he had never dared to imagine before. At the beginning of the chapter, I asked you to read it silently 3 times. Do you remember? Share on Facebook and there may be surprises. Chapter 86 Human Greed. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Recite the Situ website silently 3 times. Do you remember it? If you don't remember, I'll ask again in the next chapter. It's best to share it on Facebook for me. Subsequently, comments about wild mushrooms and grapes began to spread and forwarded on the internet, and the content of every post was almost praising how good the wild mushrooms and grapes in the compound tasted, which aroused people's attention. The very next day, thousands of people gathered in front of the compound. They had only one idea, and that was to demand that the vineyard be open for another day. The power of the people was revealed at this moment, and Zhao Xinyu immediately decided that he could go into the yard to pick for 2 consecutive days, but it was only for 2 days. 2 days passed by, and Zhao Xinyu had hundreds of thousands more on his card. However, compared to money, Zhao Xinyu was most concerned about people's reputation. Without exception, people gave the highest praise to the grapes and the few wild mushrooms in the compound. If there were any negative comments, they complained that the picking time was too short. "Xinyu, I think next year, the hundreds of acres will still be planted with grapes. Look what people are talking about now. They are all talking about our grapes. It tastes good and the price is not high." Han Li and others proposed. He had a different idea from Du Mengnan. Zhao Xinyu's eyes flashed constantly. He planted grapes as a pretense for making wine. In fact, the grape area in his space was about 30 or 40 acres. With so many grapes enough to sell, he had other plans in mind. After a period of time, the grapes began to be sold in a limited number of places, and barrels of the Purple Emperor brood were buried deep underground in the vineyards. However, what surprised Han Li and others was that they estimated that Zhao Xinyu had brewed at least thousands of barrels of Purple Emperor, but there were still a lot of grapes in the grape grove. Of course, they also knew that the grape yield in the grape grove was very high, so they were surprised. Surprised, they didn't take it seriously. After all, Zhao Xinyu has never left the yard since making wine. He can't produce more grapes from other places. Han Li and the others were surprised that the number of grapes had not decreased, but Du Mengnan was surprised that the area and number of wild mushrooms in the grape forest were getting larger and larger. At first, almost all the wild mushrooms in the vineyard were taken away by Du Mengnan, but later on, not only hotels and farmhouses, but also preserved vegetables were sold, and there was not enough wild mushrooms to pick every day. Therefore, most of the remaining wild mushrooms are dried and stored. In an office at the headquarters of the Bordeaux Wine Group, a stern-looking, blonde, blue-eyed middle-aged man frowned and read a report. The report is not the group's development plan, but a piece of news from China. After the Purple Emperor appeared in China, the Bordeaux Group sent commercial spies. They first wanted to acquire the formula of the Purple Emperor. If they could not acquire it, they just want to steal. But after a few months, the commercial espionage elites sent out found nothing. This made them feel a deep crisis. They knew in their hearts what would happen to the red wine industry they monopolized if the Purple Emperor grew stronger. Just when he was at a loss, there was a knock on the door, and then a middle-aged man in his 30s came in from outside. How about it? It should be the manor in Zhihenling, Pengcheng. During this period, they have been making wine, which is buried deep underground in the manor's grape groves. What about the brewing process? There are only a limited number of villagers who can enter. According to them, the initial process is the same as the procedures we use to collect ancient Chinese materials. However, after the semi-finished product is finished, it will be handled by the manor owner named Zhao Xinyu alone. They don't know Zhao Xinyu. What did Xinyu do? Damn Chinese people. When he said these words, a cold light burst out from his eyes. Jones, no matter what method or means you use, you must get the formula of the Purple Emperor, and I don't want to hear any news about that Chinese person. Jones nodded. One more thing. According to the villagers, Zhao Xinyu is also a traditional Chinese medicine doctor, and his medical skills are not low. I think the Purple Emperor and the Qingguoqingqing should be from his hands, and the ancient anti-counterfeiting technology should also be completed by him. That would be the best. If we can get all the formulas, not to mention the red wine market, we can also occupy half of the country in cosmetics. Since you can find out this news, I think groups like Kanda should also have received the news. Take action in advance, and we must not let them get there first. The same thing is happening in the giants of cosmetics and red wine. All the giants who peek at the alluring city and the Purple Emperor have given a fatal order, that is, to get the formula at all costs, and even if they can't get it, they can't let others competitors get it. In a private room of a hotel in Pengcheng, Zhang Mingkue drank a glass of wine. Master Hu, I have already found out that the boss behind Purple Emperor and Qingguoqingqing is Zhao Xinyu. Do you know that Western cosmetics and red wine giants give formulas? What's the price offered? Hu Jinyu curled his lips and said, he is just making a small fuss. How much can a few bad recipes be worth? $1 billion, that is, the formulas for the 15 fragrances of Qingguoqingqing are all priced at $300 million. Hu Jinyu's body trembled, the wine glass in his hand swayed, and the red wine worth tens of thousands of dollars was spilled on his hand without even feeling it. He looked at Zhang Mingkue blankly. Zhang Mingkue, are you sure? Zhang Mingkue nodded. The news is absolutely reliable, and I have also received news that many people in Zhihenling are commercial spies. They have only one goal, and that is to steal the formula of the Purple Emperor and to conquering the country. Some people have already buy the people around Zhao Xinyu at high prices. Damn, this formula can only be mine. Hu Jinyu suddenly became excited. One formula is 1 billion, two is 2 billion. What is the concept of $2 billion? If there are $2 billion, he will spend his whole life. No need to be busy, there will be nothing you want when the time comes. Master Hu, what are you going to do? How to do it? Zhao Xinyu will definitely not take the initiative to take out such a valuable formula. There should be someone protecting Zhao Xinyu. Don't forget that there were more than 30 of us last time and we still have no news. Hu Zhenyu nodded, I understand, just keep staring over there and I'll find him. Xinyu, do you know that our village has become popular abroad now? Not only people from Pengcheng, but also big-nosed foreigners come to our village, and there are quite a few of them. When Zhao Xinyu heard what Han Jun said, he was slightly startled, and then shook his head. He really didn't expect that foreigners could come to Xihanling. Han Jun, tell the villagers not to let them rip off customers. Those who come here are friends. If there is rip-off, stop it immediately. We can't do anything to destroy our reputation. Xinyu, a tour guide came here. He said that he would bring a foreign tour group over in the next 2 days. He wanted those foreigners to experience our Chinese farm life and experience it in our yard. Okay. Thinking that many foreign reports about China were untrue, Zhao Xinyu nodded immediately. He wanted to promote domestic farm life through the foreigners in this travel team. On the 3rd day, a team of more than 50 foreigners entered the compound. Like many Chinese, they saw the unimaginable vegetables growing in the compound. The men and women in the foreign team, it was like discovering a new world. They were shooting like crazy. After waiting for permission, they tasted the tomatoes, cucumbers, watermelons, and melons grown in the compound, which are popular products in Pengcheng City. Once they tasted it, their doubts were immediately dispelled, and photos and videos were uploaded to their area via the internet. Subsequently, it attracted discussion from foreign netizens. Although foreigners would not express their feelings about it, foreign people did not agree with it. In their imagination, people in China are still living an ancient farming life. It is impossible to grow such vegetables simply by relying on the ancient cattle farming technology. Such vegetables either use a large amount of pesticides, chemical fertilizers, or use chemicals that are used in many countries. Ban GMO technology. When the tour guide led the team to the grape grove, the foreigners tasted the grapes in the grape grove and saw the small mounds of earth raised everywhere and the wild mushrooms emerging from the ground. They were even more surprised. They could not imagine being in such a noisy place. There will be such a farm life in the city. Zhao Xinyu, who was practicing the 5 gods art in the courtyard, heard something moving outside. He took He Feng out of the courtyard. Then He Feng beside him became the target of foreigners' pursuit. What surprised Zhao Xinyu was that after He Feng saw several middle-aged people in the travel team, his beard popped up and his eyes were full of hostility. Feeling this, Zhao Xinyu's heart moved. Although He Feng was just a dog, He Feng would not react like this without any threat. He Feng had such a reaction, which meant that he felt threatened by those foreigners and who they were. This made Zhao Xinyu wary. However, after much experience, Zhao Xinyu's expression showed no change, and then he returned to the compound with He Feng. Later, Zhao Xinyu learned from Hanli that when the foreigners' team left, they bought a lot of vegetables, grapes, and wild mushrooms. Some foreigners even asked to take away a lot of grape branches. According to what they said, grapes, the taste was so good that they wanted to take the grapes back and cultivate them. What surprised Zhao Xinyu was that in the following period, a wave of foreigners would come over every 2 or 3 days. Just like the first time, after the foreigners experienced it, they would buy some of the products in the hospital. At first, Zhao Xinyu was fine, but every time the tour group entered the vineyard, He Feng would react and become hostile to some of the people, which made Zhao Xinyu even more vigilant. Then he thought of what Du Mengnan had said to him some time ago, and he suddenly felt that the tourist team might be real, but someone must have secretly instructed them to come here. They came here not only to experience farm life, but also there is an ulterior motive. At the beginning of the chapter, I asked you to read it silently 3 times. Do you remember? Share on Facebook and there may be surprises. Chapter 87. Why invite the principal? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Recite the Situ website silently 3 times. Do you remember it? If you don't remember, I'll ask again in the next chapter. It's best to share it on Facebook for me. Although Zhao Xinyu was wary, he did not dare to judge whether his guess was correct, and he also saw foreign reports about his compound on the internet, so he did not refuse the foreign tour group to continue to enter the compound. On this day, news came from the school that the school renovation had been completed and the construction team had begun to repair some defects. After Zhao Xinyu received the news, he took Heifeng to the school. The entire school covers an area of nearly 100 acres, with a 3-story teaching building in the middle. According to the original plan, there were a total of 42 teaching classes. On the right side of the teaching building is the same 3-story building, which is a dormitory specifically for student accommodation. Next to the dormitory is a canteen covering an area of thousands of square meters. Behind the teaching building is a well-equipped playground, a circular track, and a football field with turf. Everything is built according to the highest standards of the current school. On the right side of the teaching building is the basketball court. There are 2 flower beds in front of the teaching building, and a stainless steel flagpole stands in the middle of the 2 flower beds. At this moment, workers are transplanting some flowers into flower beds. Looking at the newly built new campus full of ancient style, Shipley felt relieved. It was not the summer vacation yet, and 2 months would be enough to complete the follow-up work. The children in the village would be able to attend school with peace of mind when school starts. Go to school. Zhao Xinyu was startled when he thought of the children going to school. He thought of the teacher. He immediately called Han Tianliang, and then returned to the compound without the intention to continue reading. When he entered his room, Zhao Xinyu's eyes shrank slightly. He felt that someone seemed to have entered the room. He opened the drawer and took a look, then turned on the computer, only to find that the computer was broken, and the monitoring system did not know when it was completed. Turn off. Zhao Xinyu immediately left the yard and found Zhao Shiming, who was busy in the grape grove. Brother Ming, has anyone been to our yard? There are 2 foreigners who are worried. He borrowed our bathroom. What's wrong? It's okay, go and do your work, I'm just asking. Back in the living room, Zhao Xinyu's eyes kept flickering. What he expected really happened. Someone sneaked into the yard, looked through his things, and destroyed all the surveillance cameras. Their intention was very obvious. They should be aiming at I made my own recipe. This time they didn't get the formula. They would definitely come again, but they didn't know how they would come in next time. Xinyu, you are looking for me. While Zhao Xinyu was thinking about something, Han Tianliang came in and listened. Grandpa Han, I just went to the school. It's almost completed, but our school doesn't even have a decent teacher. I want to discuss recruiting teachers with you. Xinyu, teachers are easy to find, but if you want a school to run smoothly, you must have a good leader. Zhao Xinyu nodded and said, how about I recruit online? Han Tianliang's eyes flickered a few times. I do have a candidate, but he has been in prison. It depends on whether you dare to use him. Zhao Xinyu was slightly stunned, and then he learned from Han Tianliang something about the person Han Tianliang wanted to recommend. This man's name is Zhang Jinhong. He used to be the most prestigious teacher in the 8 villages in Shirley. He has trained not only 10,000 but also 8,000 students, and many students graduated from junior high school and went to key high schools. Just 4 years ago, when he was about to retire, a former student came to his door. The student wanted to set up a breeding farm, but he couldn't get the money without a guarantor, so Zhang Jinhong became the guarantor. Unexpectedly, just when the breeding farm was about to be put into operation, the student suddenly had an accident. Because he was not married and his family had no source of income at all, Zhang Jinhong became the first repayer. His 1 month's salary was not enough for repayment, but it was not even enough for loan interest. Because of this, he was sued for fraud. And ended up in prison for 5 years. Because of his outstanding performance there, he came out a year early, that is, he returned home around May Day. Because of that incident, he lost his job and even his teaching qualification. During the years when he was in prison, the burden of the family fell on his wife and daughter. In order to take care of his wife, his daughter did not report the college notice when she got it. Now his wife has become ill, and he is not old enough. He was young. Apart from teaching, he had no skills at all. He wanted to go out to work, but no one was willing to hire him because of his age. After hearing what Han Tianliang said, Zhao Xinyu also sighed. Such an excellent teacher who devoted himself to his students ended up like this because of helping his students. This made him sigh. Grandpa Han, do you know this Zhang Jinhong? Why don't you know him? There are several people in Shaliba village who don't know him. He brought out Han Li and Han Jun. At that time, it was because the family was too poor that neither of them went to high school. Because of this matter, I have had Zhang Jinhong scold me several times in the past few years. Well, let's just ask Zhang Jinhong to be the principal of our Zihanling school. By the way, he shouldn't be from our village. Zhao Xinyu thought that he did not see this name in the list of poor households listed in Zihanling. He is from Donghuku, just 8 miles east of our village. Let's go first. Although Donghuku is only 7 or 8 miles away from Zihanling, the situation is very different from Zihanling. Not only is the terrain flat, but there is also a large lake at the entrance of the village. In the village, you can no longer see the old houses built decades ago. All you can see are new houses full of modern atmosphere. There are several factories covering a large area not far from the village. It is obvious that such changes have taken place in the village. It should be inseparable from the factory. Entering the village, some old people sitting on the street greeted Han Tianliang with a smile, and without exception they all asked about Zhao Xinyu. He said that one Zhao Xinyu in Zihanling was more effective than several factories in their village, which made the old Zhao Xinyu who came here blush. In front of a courtyard that is incompatible with the surrounding courtyards. This courtyard is only half built. The reason why it is incompatible with the courtyards on both sides is that this courtyard is not built with bricks and tiles, but with mud. Others are made of blue bricks and red tiles, but this courtyard is simply surrounded by some branches to form a fence, and the gate is also made of branches. Although Han Tianliang did not say who this family was, Zhao Xinyu vaguely guessed that this courtyard was the residence of Zhang Jinhong they were looking for. There was no need to knock on the door. When they walked to the door, a petite, beautiful, and extremely plainly dressed girl in her 20s or 30s stood up from the courtyard. She had a few weeds in her hands. Apparently she was taking care of the vegetable patch in the yard. Are you Uncle Han? After seeing Han Tianliang, the girl was slightly startled and asked with a hint of doubt. Girl Foam has grown up. Where is your father? But when Han Tianliang finished speaking, an old man with white hair and a slightly stooped figure came out of the house. He straightened up and adjusted his glasses that could already be seen as antiques, and was stunned. Brother Han, a rare visitor. But there was a bit of lack of confidence in his voice. Standing next to Han Tianliang, Zhao Xinyu felt a little sad. This was Zhang Jinhong, who had educated students all his life and had a high reputation in 8 villages. How did he know from Han Tianliang that Zhang Jinhong was a little over 60, but at this moment Zhang Jinhong looked 70 or 80 years old. If Han Tianliang hadn't brought him here, he really couldn't believe that someone could live in such poverty. And he is also a people's teacher who has been teaching for decades. Han Tianliang sighed slightly. He moved the fence door and entered the yard. He glanced at Zhang Jinhong and said, "Let's go home. The family is dirty. I heard that your village is doing well now." Zhang Jinhong was obviously a little unsure when he spoke. You guy, why did you become like this? Although it was afternoon, the room was a bit dark because the house was too old. An old woman with gray hair was lying on the pillow. When she saw Han Tianliang come in, she struggled to sit up. Is it village chief Han? The old woman asked with a hint of embarrassment. Xinyu, show it to your aunt. Zhao Xinyu nodded, and Zhang Jinhong over there was slightly startled. Old Han, he is. He is a doctor, a traditional Chinese medicine doctor. I heard that my sister-in-law is not in good health, so I brought him here to have a look. After a while, Zhao Xinyu took his hand back, and Han Tianliang said in a deep voice, how is it? I got sick from working a lot, and my nutrition couldn't keep up. Apart from a little atrophy of my stomach, I didn't have any major problems. I'll be back to health in half a year. Thank you very much. Give me the prescription and I'll go back to the city to get the medicine. Zhang Jinhong thanked him quickly with a hint of excitement. Zhao Xinyu sighed slightly in his heart. Where can I find the medicine? I'll ask Grandpa Han to bring it to you later. Han Tianliang's eyes flickered for a few times and he looked at Zhang Jinhong. Brother, this is not a school that has just been built in the village. The school has no principal. I came here this time to ask you to go to the school and help take care of it. Zhang Jinhong's body trembled, and there was a trace of disbelief in his eyes. Old Han, you also know about me. If I, a person who has been in prison, go to school, who would dare to send my child there? Besides, I heard the school was built with money from a young man. If he knows about me, what will he think of you? Han Tianliang shook his head. That matter is not your fault. Everyone knows about it. Xinyu is the young man who funded the school. He is the one who wants to come and invite you. The next moment, Zhang Jinhong's stooped body suddenly straightened up, and the aura on his body also changed. Although his clothes were a bit tattered, Zhao Xinyu felt in him the same fear he felt when he saw his teacher when he was a child. At the beginning of the chapter, I asked you to read it silently 3 times. Do you remember? Share on Facebook and there may be surprises. Chapter 88. Are you a ghost doctor? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Recite the Situ website silently 3 times. Do you remember it? If you don't remember, I'll ask again in the next chapter. It's best to share it on Facebook for me. I don't have a teaching qualification certificate. Zhang Jinhong looked at Zhao Xinyu. Zhao Xinyu smiled lightly and said, you are here to be responsible for management. This has nothing to do with the teacher qualification certificate. You only need to manage the teaching well, and you don't have to worry about the rest. Okay, when will you go to school? In the past few days, the school will recruit a group of outstanding teachers, and your past will be checked. Okay, then I'll go there tomorrow. Zhao Xinyu nodded and looked at Han Tianliang. Grandpa Han, go back and talk to Brother Jiang and ask him to buy 2 cars and find someone to pick up Principal Zhang. By the way, give Principal Zhang 100,000 yuan first, and let Principal Zhang go first. Get settled at home. It's not that much. Besides, if you give me so much money, I won't be able to pay it back at once. Zhao Xinyu chuckled and said, this 100,000 yuan is for you to settle down at home and work overtime during this period. I heard from Grandpa Han that your daughter did not report it when she got the notice. Let him prepare to restudy. Zhang Feng, who was standing at the door, burst into tears when she heard what Zhao Xinyu said. She had been wronged so much in the past few years, but at this moment when her father met a good person, the depression in her heart was finally released. Zhao Xinyu sighed slightly and looked at Zhang Feng. If possible, you can also apply for a normal college and go to Xianling to replace your father in the future. Not long after Zhao Xinyu and the others left, everyone in Donghuku knew that Zhao Xinyu, who funded Xianling School, came to ask Zhang Jinhong to be the principal of Xianling School. Before evening, the news that Zhang Jinhong would be the principal of the new school in Xianling spread throughout the villages, and many people became excited. They all know Zhang Jinhong, who is meticulous in his work. Almost all the young people in their 20s in these villages are his students. Everyone knows that Zhang Jinhong is a real teacher, so after the news spread, people began to inquire. After confirming that the news was true, many people immediately contacted the children who went out to work and asked them to send their children back. Their only purpose was to let their descendants accept Zhang Jinhong's educate. The next day, Zhao Xinyu received the news that people from the surrounding villages went to the school to inquire whether their children could attend Xianling School. After receiving the news, Zhao Xinyu immediately made a decision to recruit high-quality teachers who are dedicated to their jobs and care for students. They will receive a monthly salary of 10,000 yuan, free room and board, and bonuses linked to performance. As for students, all children in Xianling village are free of tuition and miscellaneous fees, and the school provides 3 meals a day for free. As for students from surrounding villages, they are charged 3,000 per year, and 3,000 includes all fees. In other words, children only need to pay 3,000 yuan to attend Xianling School. Once this decision was issued, not only the surrounding villages, but also the urban areas close to Xianling were shocked. How much is the living expenses of students for a day? 3,000 a year is not enough. Such a school is not only in Pengcheng, but it's rare across the country. Moreover, the school hires teachers with high salaries. The teacher's salary has exceeded that of any other school in Pengcheng. With Zhang Jinhong at the helm, the school's teaching quality will definitely not be bad. In just one day, almost all students from the villages around Zaihanling have registered at Zaihanling School. For families who have difficulties in living in the surrounding villages, as long as the situation is true and the village issues a certificate, the 3,000 yuan fee will be waived. They can enjoy the same treatment as the children in Zaihanling village. Xinyu, you have spent 3 million to rebuild the school this time. If it goes according to your decision, you will have to invest at least more than 1 million in this year. To rebuild the school and hire teachers, the villagers are already very grateful to you. After learning that Zhao Xinyu had made such a decision, Han Tianliang came to the door with the village cadres. Zhao Xinyu looked at Han Tianliang and the others and sighed slightly. Grandpa Han, I also grew up in the village. I know what will happen to children who cannot study. Brother Ming and the others have seen it, right? You can't let other children in the village become what they were in the past. If the money is gone, you can still make money, but if the children are wasted, the money will be of no use. Han Tianliang and the others fell silent for a few moments. They all looked complicated. In those years, the village was too poor, and many children were forced to go out to work because their families had no money. Each of them knew the suffering. Xinyu, let's do this. You have done so much for the village. Everyone in the village can see clearly that you make money by growing vegetables and raising fish. Moreover, people in the village have also made a lot of money this year by following you in the breeding industry. Let's do it this way. I'll see you later. Discuss with the villagers east of Luoshui and adjust their farmland, and I will give you more than 140 acres of farmland. Zhao Xinyu was slightly startled, then nodded subconsciously, that's okay, but you don't need to give it to me. I will contract all their land, and I will give them 500 yuan per acre of land every year. The villagers in Zaihanling all know that their lives have undergone earth-shaking changes in 1 year because of Zhao Xinyu, but this time Zhao Xinyu invested huge sums of money in the village, and he also had to bear the high salaries of teachers and the living expenses of thousands of students. The farmland is indeed theirs, but they can only grow ordinary crops. It is impossible to earn 500 yuan from 1 acre of land a year. So after knowing that Zhao Xinyu was interested in contracting their farmland, they signed the contract through the village committee without saying a word. Contract. After obtaining hundreds of acres of farmland again, the engineering team then entered the farmland and began to level the farmland and build water conservancy facilities. Both sides of the compound are undergoing renovations, and the school is also in full swing. Zhang Jinhong is responsible for recruiting teachers, but the canteen, dormitories, and teaching buildings also need follow-up work. Zhang Jinhong couldn't spare his time at all, and Zhao Xinyu could only ask Pang Mingyuan to help with school affairs. He originally planned to hire people from outside to clean the canteen, dormitories, and teaching buildings. However, after the villagers in the village heard about this incident, they spontaneously organized and went to the school. At first, they were all villagers from Zaihanling. In the end, many villagers from surrounding villages came to help take care of it. Pang Mingyuan was so busy there that he finally opened a dormitory and stayed at the school to help take care of it. The courtyard returned to its original state. Only Zhao Xinyu was left in the courtyard of Nuo University. Late that night, the weather was extremely hot and the air conditioner was turned on in the room. Zhao Xinyu felt a little suffocated. He simply took Heifeng to the grape grove and practiced the 5 gods art under the grape grove. During this period of time, although he was busy every day, Zhao Xinyu did not relax in his cultivation. Although the 5 divine art and shadow follower could not reach great success, they had improved a lot. I don't know how long it took, but a dull thunder interrupted Zhao Xinyu's practice. He raised his eyes to the sky. There were no stars in the sky at this moment, and the entire sky was as dark as the bottom of a pot. Zhao Xinyu took a deep breath, raised his hand and patted Heifeng. Heifeng, it's going to rain, let's go home. But just when he walked under a grape trellis, Haifeng suddenly froze and let out a low roar. Zhao Xinyu's heart tightened. He froze, his eyes full of vigilance. A dull thunder sounded again, and a black shadow shot out from under the grape trellis. When the lightning lit up, a blade of light shrouded the black wind in it. With Haifeng's roar, the lightning disappeared, and Zhao Xinyu saw that Haifeng had fallen to the ground. When he stood up again, Haifeng was trembling all over, and a faint smell of blood began to permeate the air. Haifeng was injured, and Zhao Xinyu's heart sank. You must know that he knew Haifeng. Now if Haifeng faced ordinary people, 3 or 2 ordinary people would not be Haifeng's opponent at all. But now Haifeng was severely injured by the opponent's blow. The opponent was not an ordinary person. Come out, Zhao Xinyu said coldly. At the same time as Zhao Xinyu's words fell, there was a dull thunder and heavy rain poured down. With the light of lightning, Zhao Xinyu saw 2 figures, 2 men wearing hats and masks. Their eyes were filled with tears. It's a cold glow. Although the lightning was only fleeting, Zhao Xinyu seemed to see that the eyes of the 2 people were not black and white, but the blue unique to foreigners. It's finally here. Zhao Xinyu's eyes flashed with a chill. From the first time Black Wind became hostile to foreign tourists, to the surveillance and computers at home that were tampered with, he knew that someone was plotting the formula in his hands. Hand over the formula of the Purple Emperor that will conquer the whole country. A stiff voice came. Zhao Xinyu snorted coldly. He took 2 steps back and patted Haifeng on the head. Haifeng, get out. Seeing that Zhao Xinyu ignored him, the 2 of them looked at each other, moved and rushed towards Zhao Xinyu. So fast. As soon as they moved, Zhao Xinyu judged from the speed of their bodies that neither of them were ordinary people. The aura on his body fluctuated slightly, and he moved forward instead of retreating. He twisted his body and dodged the combined blow of the 2 people in a posture that ordinary people could not do. Practitioner of ancient martial arts, Zhao Xinyu smiled coldly, and suddenly 2 rays of cold light shot out from his eyes, and his body twisted, like a shadow following the wind, a phoenix dancing in the sky. Ah, the 2 of them felt their eyes flash. Zhao Xinyu had arrived in front of them, and a big hand had grabbed a man's neck. There was a slight sound of bones breaking, and the man fell limply to the ground. Boom, a dull thunder resounded through the world again. Zhao Xinyu moved his body again and avoided the blow. He touched the ground with 1 foot and jumped into the air. Phoenix wings flying in the sky. A kick hit the man's chest. The man's chest instantly sunk, and blood poured out of his mouth, mixed with pieces of broken internal organs. You are a ghost doctor. These were the last words left by the man. At the beginning of the chapter, I asked you to read it silently 3 times. Do you remember? Share on Facebook and there may be surprises. Chapter 89, Drunken Linglong is released. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Recite the Situ website silently 3 times. Do you remember it? If you don't remember, I'll ask again in the next chapter. It's best to share it on Facebook for me. Looking at the 2 men who had lost their vitality, Zhao Xinyu frowned. The man finally said that he was a ghost doctor and who the ghost doctor was, which made Zhao Xinyu confused. A dull thunder sounded again, and the heavy rain was like the Milky Way pouring down. Zhao Xinyu looked around. He didn't know if the other party had any companions. He exited and first took the black wind into the space. His mind moved to the green wolves. Appear around yourself. Look to see if there is anyone else in the courtyard. The green wolves roared low and disappeared into the rain and mist under the leadership of the Green Wolf King. Zhao Xinyu did not move. He carefully felt the changes around him. More than 10 minutes later, the green wolves gathered around Zhao Xinyu. The Green Wolf King shook his head at Zhao Xinyu, which made Zhao Xinyu sigh. He once again put the green wolves and the 2 corpses into the space. Quickly returned to the yard. He first returned to the room. He saw that the room had been moved again. He immediately changed his clothes, but instead of staying in the room, he went to the basement under the courtyard. In a room with a security door, Zhao Xinyu locked the security door, then turned off the lights and entered the space. Feng was injured by the other party because of the warning. He wanted to see how Feng's injury was. When he saw Feng, Zhao Xinyu couldn't help but frown. He saw that Feng's body had a deep cut that was more than a foot long, and even internal organs could be seen in one area. This is also due to Feng's strong physique. If it were an ordinary dog, it would be difficult to say whether it could survive unless it stood up at this moment. While Zhao Xinyu was suturing Feng's wound, the Green Wolf King kept looking up to the sky and roaring. His eyes turned red, and his roar was filled with murderous intent. After sewing up Feng and applying medicine to him, Zhao Xinyu raised his hand and patted the big head of the Green Wolf King. Feng is fine. I have avenged his revenge. The Green Wolf King growled at Zhao Xinyu, and Zhao Xinyu patted Feng. Feng, take good care of yourself. After saying this, Zhao Xinyu sighed and went to the lake. After cleaning the blood stains on his hands, Zhao Xinyu felt a little scared. Fortunately, Pang Mingyuan was at school these days. If Pang Mingyuan was at home today, it would be dangerous. After this time, Zhao Xinyu realized the importance of strength to himself. If he had discovered the enemy in advance, Feng would not be injured at all. Cultivation, practice. After thinking about this, Zhao Xinyu's aura surged, and his body floated in an open space like a wisp of leaves, and then the five-god art began to operate. When Zhao Xinyu came out of the basement the next day, it was already past 10 o'clock. When he came out of the yard, he saw Zhao Ximing and many villagers picking wild mushrooms. Zhao Ximing was slightly startled when he saw Zhao Xinyu coming out. Xinyu, you were at home yesterday. Zhao Xinyu chuckled. It rained yesterday and the thunder was so loud that I couldn't sleep, so I went to the basement. I just said that I didn't see you when I came here. It rained quite a lot yesterday and the grape trellis was damaged in several places. However, there are more wild mushrooms after the thunderstorm. I may not be able to pick them all in a busy day today. After saying this, Zhao Ximing seemed to remember something. By the way, Xinyu, didn't you say that Zui Linglong would be able to show off today? The people below are waiting for you. Zhao Xinyu patted his head and said, I really forgot about it. Brother Ming, I told Shijuan and the others not to go back at noon. You guys also want to be drunk. After walking a few steps, Zhao Xinyu suddenly stopped and said, go and ask Jing Yukai and Jing Youfa to get some crucian carp and river crabs. You go catch some pheasants. I will come back later to do it and let the two brothers stay. Okay. When Zhao Xinyu walked quickly across the stone arch bridge, he saw that the water in Luoshui increased by at least 1 meter. Perhaps because there was too much sediment in the water after the thunderstorm, the fish in Luoshui kept jumping out of the water. In the workshop specially set aside for brewing, the smell of alcohol filled the air, and drops of turbid original wine kept dripping from under the wine jar filled with lees. Zhao Xinyu took the ladle specially reserved for wine, filled a little of the original wine, tasted it, and found it spicy. Mixed with a strong smell of lees. Wang Ximing, the temperature in the winery is still a bit low, and the lees are not fermented enough. These lees will be fermented for another 5 days. After pouring the original wine in the ladle onto the ground, he arrived in front of a row of dozens of large wine jars sealed at a height of 1 person, and took off the sealing wax on the wine jars. The next moment, a strong aroma of wine filled the winery. Diffuse, Wang Ximing and others in the wine shop were shocked when they smelled the rich aroma of the wine. They all couldn't help but take a few deep sips and said, Xinyu, this wine is really fragrant. Zhao Xinyu laughed and said, when we return at noon, each person will bring 2 kilograms with him, but remember not to drink and make trouble. Although they haven't been here for too long, Wang Ximing and the others also know what kind of person Zhao Xinyu is. He definitely didn't say this in a polite way, but really asked them to take the wine back. They all nodded and laughed. I know, let's go back and drink tonight. While Wang Ximing and the others were laughing, Zhao Xinyu used a ladle to push away the herbs floating on the wine jar, scooped out 2 ounces of drunken exquisiteness, took a sip, and then nodded. Although the Zui Linglong did not condense the wine mist, due to the water in the space, the taste of the Zui Linglong was not bad at all. Grandpa had stored the Zui Linglong for many years and had condensed the wine mist, He handed the ladle to Wang Ximing and said, "Take a bite and see how it tastes." Wang Ximing took it and drank it down in one gulp. "Okay, it's really good. I've never had such a good grain wine. Wang Ximing, you should leave some for us." Others in the wine shop became anxious when they saw Wang Ximing finish the wine. Zhao Xinyu laughed loudly, "There is so much wine, why are you trying to steal his share? Try them all. Don't drink too much. I have something to do later." Those people were not polite. One person went out to get some tomatoes and cucumbers and brought them back. He ate the cucumbers and tomatoes and drank a few taels each. "Good wine. A pound of this wine must be sold for dozens of yuan. You country bumpkin, this wine has to be sold for hundreds of yuan. I've drunk Langjiu worth more than 100 yuan, and that wine is too far away from being drunk or exquisite." Listening to Wang Ximing and the others arguing about how much Zui Linglong should be sold for, Zhao Xinyu was also thinking about how much this pound of Zui Linglong should be sold for. After checking the time, he called Wang Ximing and the others to filter the brewed Linglong and pour it into the prepared wine jar. He left the wine shop and called Du Mengnan. When Du Mengnan heard that Zui Linglong was released, she came directly with the truck without stopping for a moment. She took a sip of Zui Linglong, and Du Mengnan's eyes lit up. "Zhao Xinyu, this drunk Linglong tastes much better than the drunk Linglong left by Grandpa. The Chinese medicinal materials here are all aged in the mountains, and of course they taste better." Just now they were discussing what price Zui Linglong would sell them at. "You just happened to come over, and you set a price. I will deliver them to the farmhouse and preserved vegetables later." The preserved vegetables are sold at 88 per caddy over there, and are sold in limited quantities. Each person is limited to purchase 1 caddy per week. The price at the farmhouse is 128. One table is only served at 2 caddies. The price at my hotel is 188. Zhao Xinyu was slightly startled and opened his mouth. Apparently he felt that Du Mengnan's price was a bit high. Du Mengnan gave him a big eye roll. "Go out and take a look. Most of the wines out there are blended wines, but they only cost 700 to 8,100 yuan per kilogram. This is pure grain wine, and the Chinese herbal medicines in it are pure wild ones. Yes, excluding labor and other factors, 88 is considered the lowest price." After Du Mengnan left with Zui Linglong, who had just joined the altar, Zhao Xinyu glanced at Wang Ximing and the others who were still drinking and said, "Everyone will bring 5 pounds when he goes back. Xinyu, this wine is too expensive. 1 pound is 100 yuan. Let's forget it. We also tasted it just now. There is so much nonsense, let you just take it. If you can't drink the wine you brewed, how can we make wine?" That when Zhao Xinyu returned home, he started busy stewing crucian carp, roasting pheasant, and steaming river crab. When he was about to get hungry, Han Li and the others returned to the compound one by one after receiving the news. Because of the vegetables and fish from the courtyard, as well as the Purple Emperor, the business here at Pengcheng Hotel is much better than that at other 5-star hotels. Before dinner time, the hotel was already packed. While the diners were waiting, the hotel's lobby manager Xiao Jiamin appeared. Xiao Jiamin looked at the diners in the lobby and said, "Today our hotel is launching a medicinal wine made from pure grains, Zui Linglong. It weighs 188 pounds per pound and serves 1 table. Customers are limited to purchasing 2 kilograms, if necessary, you can register." The diners who can come in and out of Pengcheng Hotel are all well off. You must know that many of them drink hundreds or even thousands of wines on weekdays, so this 188 is nothing to them. "Manager Xiao, please register 2 kilograms for me here." A diner who was familiar with Xiao Jiamin immediately raised his hand and shouted loudly. Xiao Jiamin chuckled and said, "Boss Jia, I know you like this. I came here specifically to tell you. Please wait a moment and I'll ask the waiter to get you a drink first." Thinking about the scene when the hotel launched the Purple Emperor, many felt that this Zui Linglong must be good, so they followed suit and ordered the Urjin Zui Linglong. When the dishes were served, Boss Jia, who was the first to order wine, was the first to see 4 flasks containing half a caddy of wine. which surprised Boss Jia slightly. He looked at Zhao Xinyu, who was busy in the lobby, and said, "Manager Zhao, this drunk Linglong can't be a casual bar. Why doesn't he even have a bottle?" "Boss Jia, Zui Linglong is served in wine jars. A jar of wine weighs 10 kilograms, so we can only use wine jugs. Don't worry, we will report it later." Because it was not bottled, many diners did not try it after Zui Linglong was served. Instead, they all looked at Zhao Xinyu. Apparently they were also worried about quality problems with bulk wine. Zhao Xinyu smiled faintly and waved her hand to the waiter. A moment later, a waiter came over with a wine bottle. "At the beginning of the chapter, I asked you to read it silently 3 times. Do you remember? Share on Facebook and there may be surprises." Chapter 90, The Real Ghost Doctor. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Recite the Situ website silently 3 times. Do you remember it? If you don't remember, I'll ask again in the next chapter. It's best to share it on Facebook for me. Zhao Xinyu poured a glass of Zui Linglong, and the next moment the unique smell of Zui Linglong began to fill the place where she was, and the surrounding diners couldn't help but take a deep breath. Fragrant, this wine tastes so fragrant. Zhao Xinyu drank more than 1 or 2 gulps, and a trace of blush appeared on her pretty face. "Don't worry, we won't do anything to destroy our own sign. This wine is definitely brewed from pure grains. I dare say that in Pengcheng Hotel, except Peng City Hotel, Zui Linglong will not be sold elsewhere." Zhao Jiaming's words made everyone excited. They immediately thought of Purple Emperor. You must know that apart from the Purple Emperor store, the only place where you can drink Purple Emperor is Pengcheng Hotel. Someone immediately poured a glass of drunken Linglong, took a sip, and exclamations spread throughout the hall. No one had an expression of joy in their eyes. They were lucky enough to come for dinner today. If they hadn't come here, they would have wanted to. "I don't know how long I'll have to wait in line to drink such a delicious medicinal wine." The diners enjoyed the delicious food and drank Zui Linglong, which they had never drunk before. At the same time, they uploaded the news about the launch of Zui Linglong in Pengcheng Hotel to their circle of friends along with photos and videos. That is to say, in the afternoon of this day, the entire Pengcheng area knew that Pengcheng Hotel had launched a new medicinal wine, Zui Linglong, which had never appeared before. Not only was it delicious, but the price was not high. Then there was news from another person that the preserved vegetables and farmhouses in Xihanling also had drunken delicacies for sale. After the news spread, the preserved vegetables, farmhouses, and hotels were suddenly overcrowded. Many people came with the idea of buying dozens or hundreds of kilograms. But when they didn't have enough, they received a message. Whether it was preserved vegetables, farmhouses, or hotels, they all are sold in limited quantities. Although it is sold in limited quantities, it still cannot stop people's enthusiasm, and some people even buy Zulinglong at high prices outside of preserved vegetables, farmhouses, and hotels. However, the price of Zui Linglong itself is not high, and it is limited in quantity, so even if you pay a high price, only a few can be purchased. Zhao Xinyu knew that someone wanted to steal his formula, and he was also worried that the brewed Zui Linglong would be destroyed. So after Wang Ximing and the others left at night, he put all the remaining dozens of jars of Zui Linglong into the space, and then locked up the workshop. Returning to the compound, thinking about what happened yesterday, he simply went under the grape trellis again, brought the green wolves out, and asked them to pay attention to what was going on around them, and he started practicing again. What left Zhao Xinyu speechless was that in the early morning, 3 foreigners appeared in the compound again. Because they were prepared, Ship Pui had already noticed when they entered his yard. Yesterday's experience made Zhao Xinyu understand that these people are not ordinary people, and being kind to them is cruel to himself, so he showed no mercy and allowed the 3 of them to stay in the space forever and become the nourishment of the space. I wrote down that someone would sneak into the yard every few days, and without exception, the people who entered the yard were not ordinary people. However, after facing Zhao Xinyu, they all quickly turned into corpses. And in the process of fighting and killing enemies for several days, the 5 gods art. Like a shadow, he finally broke through to the realm of Deshang. The breakthroughs of the 5 gods and shadows made Zhao Xinyu eager to open the box that his grandfather left for him, and he took out the ancient books in the box. There was also a yellowed envelope and a box at the bottom of the box. Looking at the familiar face of himself on the envelope, Zhao Xinyu felt very complicated. The five-god art can make his body stronger, and follow him like a shadow, making his body like lightning. This should be all ancient Chinese martial arts, and the Hongmeng Sutra is a mental method for cultivating internal strength. But why didn't Grandpa tell him at the beginning that Professor Hongmeng, when it came to reading the scriptures, I just picked out some of the more difficult passages to teach myself? He was a little confused. After coming into contact with cultivation, Zhao Xinyu had been thinking about this issue for a long time. Now that the answer to the mystery was about to be revealed, he suddenly felt a little uneasy in his heart. Taking a deep breath, Zhao Xinyu picked up the envelope. With trembling fingers, he took out the letter that his grandfather left for him. A black bank card fell out with the letter. The bank card did not have Chinese characters on it, but a series of English words. Although Zhao Xinyu went to a third-rate university, his grandfather had chosen the school for him, and Zhao Xinyu's cultural classes were enough to attend any major university at that time, so his English level was not low. At UBS, Zhao Xinyu's eyes suddenly shrank. What shocked Zhao Xinyu even more was that the name that opened the account was not his grandfather but him. UBS is a famous bank in the world. Those who can open an account in it are either rich or noble. Grandpa is an ordinary old man in the village and is in financial distress. How did he open a UBS bank card for himself? Does Grandpa have this other one? Identity. Putting the black bank card aside, he opened the letter that his grandfather left for him. After just reading it for a few times, Zhao Xinyu opened his mouth wide and his eyes were full of shock and disbelief. Grandpa's name is not Zhao Lu, but Zhao Polu. He is not an ordinary person. He is an ancient martial arts practitioner and one of the guardians of China during a turbulent period. He also has another identity, that is, he is the second-ranked ghost doctor in the dark world. The reason why Grandpa did not reveal his identity and let himself live a poor life is that he did not want to be blinded by the colorful world. Yan Yan has always only taught Chinese medicine and not ancient martial arts. He also doesn't want to make himself feel superior to others. The most important thing is that he doesn't want to reveal his identity, which will bring big trouble to him and his grandfather. As for his life experience, he also mentioned in the letter that as long as he rose to prominence in Chinese medicine, people would come to him. However, the letter specifically reminded him that his life experience was particularly sensitive. He almost caused a turmoil, so there was no concern about his life experience. His grandfather left a message for him to treat with caution. In the last letter, Grandfather Zhao Polu specifically stated his last wish, which was to let him restore the glory of traditional Chinese medicine and help him complete his mission of protecting the pure land of China. Folding the letter and putting it back into the envelope, Zhao Xinyu's expression was extremely complicated. He didn't know what his grandfather had done, but he could think of what kind of life he wanted with his identity as the second-ranked ghost doctor in the dark world. But Grandpa was willing to let him and Zhao Xinqing live a poor life. Grandpa must have encountered some trouble that was difficult to solve. He knew better than anyone else how much the old man had paid. Taking a deep breath, he picked up the box in the box. The box seemed light and weightless, which surprised Zhao Xinyu. There are two small balls in the box, one big and one small. The big one is the size of an egg, the small one is the size of a grape, and there is a skin bag the size of a palm. Zhao Xinyu picked up the small ball the size of a grape and gently touched it. The small ball instantly turned into a mask. It was an ordinary face, with a black scar running across the entire face. This is the ghost doctor, Grandpa's other identity, the ghost doctor who causes headaches in the dark world, the ghost doctor who makes hostile forces outside the country fearful, the ghost doctor who kills people like crazy. Looking at the mask representing the identity of the ghost doctor, Zhao Xinyu had a very complicated expression. He suddenly thought that he also had many lives on his hands. Could this be the result of his grandfather's subtle influence? He raised his hand and rubbed the mask representing the ghost doctor a few times, and the mask turned into a small ball again. He did not touch the big ball. The letter mentioned that it was a suit of clothes, which represented the identity of the ghost doctor. He opened the skin, in the skin bag are 36 needles that are shining with green light and are very similar to the silver needles used for acupuncture, but they are much thicker than the silver needles used for acupuncture. Pick up a piece as thin as a cicada's wings. The paper shows the casting method. These 36 needles are the weapons that made my grandfather famous. Putting the leather bag away, his eyes fell on the ancient books he took out. Generally, the ancient books were related to traditional Chinese medicine and could not be seen outside. Those were taken back from the enemy by his grandfather during his mission, but the other half were it as a technique that my grandfather once practiced while concealing his identity. Staring at the ancient books that were turning yellow and black, Zhao Xinyu couldn't help but feel something in his heart. His grandfather was also an ancient martial arts practitioner and a once famous ghost doctor. How could he fall and fall? Thinking of these, Zhao Xinyu's eyes flashed, and he left the space with a thought. However, he had an idea in his heart, that is, his grandfather did not die, but used that incident to escape. Zhao Xinyu felt excited that his grandfather was still alive. He immediately had the idea of returning to his hometown. Thinking that the compound was not peaceful during this period, he decided to go back immediately. If you want to go back to your hometown, there won't be anything there. Du Mengnan was also surprised to know that Zhao Xinyu was going back to her hometown. My grandfather passed away more than a year ago, so I couldn't help but go back and take a look. It's almost July 15th. We have such a rule over there that before and after July 15th, the descendants have to visit the graves of their ancestors. How about I go back with you? Zhao Xinyu raised his hand and stroked Du Mengnan's hair. Meng, there are a lot of things going on here. I can just go back by myself. Besides, there is nothing in my hometown. You will have to suffer with me when you go back. Be careful yourself and come back soon. I'll wait for you. Okay, I'll try to come back before school starts. Meng, why did you come back early today? Du Gang saw Du Mengnan coming back, and then saw that Du Mengnan seemed a little unhappy, which made him feel moved. Why, I got into trouble with Xinyu. Grandpa, how could it be? He went back to his hometown and said he was visiting his grandfather's grave. Du Gang's face condensed, and a trace of sadness suddenly appeared in his eyes. This scene fell into Du Mengnan's eyes. Grandpa, what's wrong with you? It's nothing. When you talked about sweeping graves, I thought of many old friends. Now I am enjoying happiness here, but they. At the beginning of the chapter, I asked you to read it silently 3 times. Do you remember? Share on Facebook and there may be surprises.